Hello and welcome back. I think we said last time we'd get one of the little 040s out. Now this is a black version of the Industrial Locomotive, which is part of the primary range. It's lost its decals on the side, although you can still see where it was embossed into the plastic. So it's quite a nice thing. Also has solid wheels. We will whip this off the track in a moment and have a look over it. And obviously we are going to have a look at the footage I shot at the TCS show in Leicester, along with some of the items I'm planning to pick up. I say planning because the show hasn't happened yet. We're a couple of days before, and I just had been playing with this and thought it would make quite a nice intro to the video. So I think what we'll do, we'll bring this back round. We'll give it a little bit more speed to bring it round, I think. And we'll change the points and we'll bring it through onto the inner side of the station. So I'm just going to stop it before the tunnel. Somewhere around there. So I think a lot of these locomotives will have spent a great deal of time charging around the little circles of track on living room carpets across the country, perhaps. So let's just run to the run being the wrong word here. We'll move over here and we'll change these points and bring it onto the inner side of this station. So it's down, isn't it, to open that up? So I want to make them curved. So we'll go for a little more power. So here we go. A little more power than I was expecting. And let's just send that backwards, back round the railway. So I think the primary range started to come along in 59 and perhaps lasted through to 62, 63. Not all of the items are available for all of the time. So offhand I can't remember the dates and numbers of these, but when we whip them off the rails we'll have a better look at them. I'll have a look at my notes. Smoothly into there. There we've got the locomotive along with some other primary items on the back of the 61 catalogue here, R.359. It's quite an interesting page. I'll leave a copy of this in focus at the end of the video for you to have a look at, but you can see some of the other items which make up the range. And this little chap here watching his little black tank locomotive go round and round this little circle of track with some interesting primary wagons there. So we'll just pop that out of the way and we'll have a look at the box that this model came in. So try and put that to one side without causing any damage to the station. So it's a lift-off lid box. I've got none of the original internal packaging is present. It's just got this piece of corrugated card. The model was wrapped up in no paperwork, but it does have this rather lovely sticker there. I don't know whether that's a stock sticker for the store it went to. We've got the effects of tape. It's done its job and protected the model quite nicely. So there we can see there's a price scribbled on there, 27 and 10 primary 040 tank loco. So we'll pop that to one side and we'll grab the locomotive and have a look over it. So I think what we'll do is we'll whip the top off this and have a quick look at it on the rails. Let's see if we can get that. You can see there when I get the light shining on it where the line over the wheel would have been. So it's definitely, what's the word I'm looking for? Vanished, worn away over the years through handling, perhaps as this model has been enjoyed. But apart from that, it's fairly nice condition. The wiring is fairly original, although there was a break in one part of it, which I'll point out when we take the top off. Again, you can just see the ghost of the line over the wheel there. But I think it's quite lovely having these solid wheels. They're not as well. There's a slight wobble in them, but I think to start trying to play with them might induce more of a wobble than I could ever fix. So it does run reasonably nicely for what it is. It really doesn't like the diamond crossing. So we've seen these little industrial locomotives before, but I thought it just seems I was playing with this before I went off to the show. We'd have a sort of a look at it. You've got a whistle there. Couplings have definitely run into a few things over the years. So this was R.359, available 61 to 63 from what I read. And let's grab this coach. So I think the moulding from this derived from the earlier R21 coach. I'll leave a picture of that in the corner of the screen there. And it was just repurposed for this R230, as they call it, a red coach, 59 to 62 in the primary range like this. I said that this version doesn't have any glazing. I don't know whether that's because some of these spirits are away in the past when it's been cleaned or played with, but it came to me this way. The other one as well, which is identical to this, they came as a pair. So we'll just look at the one. And we've got the closed axle boxes, which I think is quite interesting. We've got the tiniest little wheels here on sleeved wheels on a metal axle. And lovely detailing on the end. So they're just repurposing an earlier item in the range. So what we've got here, we've got Triang and Made in England. And if we look closely under here, we've got Triang R21. We'll get that in the light there. So yeah, definitely just repurposing the model. What we got at the other end, am I going to be able to read into there? We got Made in England down there. We just see that. There we go. We've got the coaches. We'll just have a quick look at that in action. We'll run it back the other way. Makes a lovely sound. And we'll just run that back the opposite direction. And I think we'll pick that off the rails and just have a swift look over it. And then we'll get onto that footage. I could have used that, couldn't I? Let's see if we can employ that. Let's go back the other direction. And are we going to be subtle enough, perhaps not, to bring this to a stop there? There we go. We've got it. So let me put the controls where they're not going to fall. Let's put that there. So let's pick that up and have a look over it. So it's in fairly nice condition. You can see those lovely solid wheels, but it's relatively crude running. So we saw the underneath of it before, but the motor's in fairly nice condition. Let's see if we can hold focus on that there. But the part that was broken, I don't remember it being broken, but when I was playing with it first, it was intermittent. It was running intermittently. So the little bit of metal which goes on the end of this feed wire that tucks in next to the brush had cracked. So it was sometimes making contact and sometimes not making contact. So the part that was attached to the wire has vanished on the end of the soldering iron when I cleaned it, but that's the other part which was left next to the brush. I don't know whether we can get focus on that. So there's a sort of crack. It had obviously decided it was enough and cracked. So it was held enough against the brush to create a little bit, but you got a sort of vibration in there and an intermittent running. So once I'd cracked that, as it were, it came back to life nicely. I don't remember it running intermittently before. So we'll just have a swift look over the model. We've seen the outside quite nicely before. Let's just have a look on the inside. I haven't over cleaned this, and it does have Triang there just under my thumb. I'm struggling to focus on the camera and the model at the same time while we're looking into it. So you can see, I just didn't want to sort of over clean these things. Sometimes I think it's better just to leave them alone unless you really need to. There's Made in England on there. So I've got all of its steps, but it's just a shame that those decals have worn away. But I don't really feel the need to stick any on the side of it. I think it's all the better for just leaving this one alone in this instance. And then you've got the tiny securing screw there, which just goes through the back of the model. There you can see that, and it just plugs into the back of this weight here. But let's have a look over that footage now.
Yes, you've done a fair whack, yeah. Just kind of arrangement with the scaffold people at the narrow gauge museum. Very good.
That ended. Then, yeah.
For your same rocks. Oh yeah. There was this one, Paisley as well. That's a good start. Yeah. Because I've seen the... With the plunging up, yeah. Because I've seen the... I didn't bring him out, he just walked. No sales strategy. Wait. Yeah, that's what you might be doing away. Oh, you're not?
Hope you enjoyed that bit of footage. It turned out to be a great weekend away, and came away with some very interesting items. So we'll just bring this up on the elevated section. I don't think we're getting any wheel slip there, and we'll just stop it here and have a look at this interesting crate of items. So I met up with Dave Atkins from Canada from Trains on Tuesday, and we were having a look around the show together, and he said, there's something over here that might interest you, and pointed me in this direction of this sort of job lot of items, and he said he would have bought it if he could have found a way of getting on the aeroplane to take it back, as it's too heavy. But there's some wonderful items in here. So a variety of sort of connection rods and things, mostly look to be sort of Triang and Hornby items. A variety of sort of wheels and bits and pieces. Perhaps we should have looked at this tray on the top, but we've got various bits and pieces of wheels and so on there. Actually, there's some decals here as well. I'm not sure what these are from. These look like cabside numbers for an alternative name to something. They've seen better days. They're a little bit scratched up there. And so this sort of tray has some smoke units of both types, bits and pieces. It's all sold untested. Ooh, there's a tube of Triang smoke fluid there. Look. Oh, for sooth smoke. So that's quite a nice thing. It would be dangerous if that leaks. So there's various bits and pieces. There's a couple of sort of tired and worn out looking motors. We don't know whether they're minus brushes and things. So there's all sorts of goodies in there. And a random set of couplings. It's always handy to have more couplings. You never know when you're going to need another one. So there's all varying degrees of decrepitness, and some are rather good. So we'll straighten a few out. Some cylinder blocks, some in usable condition, some that have been already mended. But you can't have enough of these bits and pieces. And we've got sort of front trucks and bogies and so on here. Some have got wheels in, some haven't. That's definitely a couple for Princess there. There's one with bright green wheel centres there, and bright shiny wheels missing there. So what do we think? Is it B12 or Flying Scotsman? And I think that one probably from a Flying Scotsman maybe. So yeah, I was quite pleased with that. And I came across this as well. This is also in fairly sort of worn condition. I've been after one of these for a while, not really knowing where I want to put it because I can't sort of fit it on the railway. And this is sort of very rusty, and the paint on the bottom, the bed, was somebody tried to clean it, and it's sticky. Just anything you put it down on, it was very, very sticky. So I actually cleaned it all away, and you can see the rust. But I don't know what had been used on it, but it was you touch it with your fingers and it sticks. So if you put it down on the bed there, it was not the bed. That's not going to come. That's not going to come out of the box. But yeah, I need two hands for that. But I'll get some paint and I'll clean that up, and I'll repaint that at a later date. But I'm not quite sure where that would sit. This appears to be the line there where it'll fit, or I could dismantle it because it is in the rivets are loose in the bottom, and maybe 3D print a centre section for the top and have it at the back there would be quite interesting, just ahead of the turntable there, just had a bit more interest. So I was quite pleased with that. So I'll just pop that on there. We'll take this locomotive around to the station, and then we'll have a look at a couple of the other items. So it didn't seem to struggle too much with the climb up there. Around we go. And I think, actually, we'll just take it beyond the station and we'll leave it sitting on the curve here. There we go. A couple of unboxed items. So this one was one Dave Angell had found for me. So I'd had another of those hauls out on the railway earlier in the year, and I hadn't got this one. This is slightly later. I think this one's into the early 80s. Hagley haul, is that? And it's sort of a more of a sort of shiny, sort of semi-matte finish rather than the waxy plastic. So let me put the controls down here for a second, and we'll have a quick look at that. So it's definitely in well played with condition, but I thought it would be quite nice to have it. I don't think it's terribly damaged. It's worn but not damaged. I think somebody's got a fireman in here, a driver. I'll show you driver, fireman probably missing. Yeah, there we go. Let's get that round there. Was that driver? Driver probably. And you got the shiny wheels, that large drive gear. So it does run. It could do with a bit of a clean. So we'll put it on the rails there. Let's swap some points around, and we'll actually we won't swap some points around. What we'll do is we'll come back to this in a moment, because there's a couple of other things here. So that's quite a fun item as well. It's not quite correct, I don't think. It's definitely been played with over the years, fixed. It's possibly got a crack in the front foot plate here. We'll get the camera strung up and have a look a bit closer, because there's some other items we're going to want to look at. It's definitely it's shrunk and pinched in there. I think somebody has chopped away the tank here to make room for it to run. It does run. I'm not entirely sure that the bogies or the trucks are correct on it. Certainly that one's not correct. It looks like the front one off a Princess. You can see that's been adapted to do the job there, and the front one possibly from a slightly later variant of this model, but I think with acetate like this it may well have been, should have had Mark IIs on it, but never mind. I think it does run. But we'll come back to this. We'll have a look at these two items running a little bit later on. Pop that down there. So I think that's going to turn out to be quite a fun item to have, a bit like that 262 tank locomotive I got from Elaine some time ago. Just needs a little bit of a clean up. I think they're probably reproductions on there. They look a little bit bright to be the originals, and somebody's put a brass sort of detail on there, possibly because this part has snapped away on that side, but it's going to be quite a nice thing, I think. So I came away with this box of items here. Too many things, really. Let's just have a quick look. So what I'll do is I'll get the camera sort of set up, and we'll have a look at these items. So we'll just, that's going to be, I can't open that, but that's a beautiful colour. That well wagon in there. And what have we got here? Yeah. So we had the Western in that lovely maroon colour out on the railway. I couldn't resist that. So we've got some really nice bits and pieces in here. And remember the R214 hopper wagons. I've got two buried in a box somewhere. I've come away with another three, but they're in sort of unusually large boxes. Well, two of them are in large boxes. There's another one here. There we go, 214. Just have a swift look over the Hagley Hall. Seems we've got the camera set up there. We can see the driver sitting in there. It's not too bad. It's quite a nice finish on it. It's sort of shiny rather than matte. Those sort of late 70s models all became sort of very matte, didn't they? But this one's gone back to a sort of shiny sort of finish, a bit like we imagine or think of steam engines. I know I've seen some at Shieldon, and they've got a very deep shine on them when they've been there sort of in the shed and all been cleaned up. So this is sort of closer to that. I suppose as toys we think of sort of bright red, shiny and blue and green steam engines. Sort of, I don't know whether I'm on the correct line of thinking there, but that's sort of how you envisage them when you think of shiny toys. But still, they're quite nice things. So let's pop that down to one side. So we'll definitely have a look at that running before the end of the video, and we'll have a look at this one running. If you have a look on that, you see we've got a nice sort of bend in the roof there. So I think we're definitely into acetate here, and that's got that little. Let's see if we can get some focus here. We've got that little bit of detail there, which is often missing. I think this is the only one. This is one of the things that attracted me to buying this, because it's sort of so, it's definitely been fiddled with. But I don't think my others have that little feature there. It's all been snapped off, that sort of whistle in front of the cab. Let's have a look there. So very often snapped off. I know my maroon variant of it, it's all snapped away. But yeah, I think this one's going to turn out to be quite a good plaything on the railway, especially when you get some of the more transcontinental. And I do believe that there is one of these, a matching one of these in that box of things. I forgot to pull it out when I was looking at it. So let's pop that to one side, and then we'll have a look at this gorgeous Western. So let's have a look here. So we've got paperwork. We'll come back to the paperwork in a moment, but just have a look at this. So a bit like the maroon variant I've got, it's in absolutely stunning condition. So I've got the Western Harrier. So lovely looking thing. Polystyrene is very, very bright, isn't it? I'm not going to manhandle this out. We will come back to this another day and have a look at that running. We've got the box here. And again, I'm just going to pop the dates and numbers in the bottom of the screen, because I can't remember them all. So what have we got here? R778 BR Class 52 Western Harrier. And we'll just have a quick glance over these instructions. We won't go to town on them, but there is a date on the top here. So we've got R778, and we've got what's that, 3rd 9 1981 perhaps. So quite a nice thing. Oh look, sort of information about the smoke units of the day. Those ones with a syringe to fill. So I think my Cheshire should have had one of those, a version of the Cheshire, but it has been removed. So we've seen instruction sheets like this before, so we won't have a look at that. Let's have a look at the toys instead. So I think that's a far better thing to have a look at. So I just got a few items there out, and I'll pick some more out in a moment. So this brake van, another sort of early-ish one, but the number on there, I don't think I had one with that number on it, which attracted me to that. The roof's very, very dirty. I don't know whether that light bit there is where it's been rubbing around in the box. There is a single packing ring in there, and if you have a look at the end there, I don't know whether that's a price written on there. A brake van R16, the effect of sellotape. So yeah, so it's always quite nice. That one caught my eye. So I've got a number of these type brake vans we've had on the railway recently. So we've got the long wheelbase one at the moment we had on, didn't we? There, and this wagon, that's a lovely one, isn't it? Northeast in white. So the metal's away a little bit. I've got a slightly earlier style of coupling there, without the sort of half moon bit on the end, so that makes it earlier. I think this is the chassis, which is in two halves, so it captures the axle, and you've got the spinning, the two wheels spinning separately there. Definitely needs a little bit of a clean, that one. I think we're acetate there, so one day we'll get that on the railway. Box is quite nice as well. The end flap of one end is missing. You can see the numbers of some of the models which could be contained within this particular box there. And then we've got R10 goods truck. I think this is a Richmond box. So we've got Richmond, Surrey, but sadly that end is away, and somebody's just put sellotape over it there. And here's that great looking well wagon. It's a gorgeous colour, isn't it? So could do with a bit of a clean. It's very dusty. I'm not entirely sure it's the correct box, or it's the correct type of box perhaps, but this box has possibly been repurposed. Let's just have a look at the end of that. So it's got 118. I think that's the correct number for the well wagon, but that's a sort of sticky label that's been put on there. There is a sort of price Have a look in there that may have been scribbled in pencil. It's very sort of curly sellotape on the end there. So precision scale models. Can we keep focusing this, do you think? So focus has gone to do something completely different. But on there, I can't quite read what's on there. Somebody's sort of redacted it, for want of a better word, and you can see something's been written under the sellotape, or rubber stamped under the sellotape. Very difficult to see what that is, but it's such a gorgeous item. It really doesn't matter if it's in the wrong box. Those make a lovely sound, don't they? So cast in sort of a soft metal, perhaps aluminium. That one's got a lovely bend in it, a bit like the Ormy 001 ones in plastic. And what we've got on the bottom there, let's get that up to camera. So we've got Triang R86, made in England, and you've got these great holes for securing it down to the deck, down to the baseboard. So we'll get those placed on the railway. So I don't think they'll look out of place. Is that a broken? We've got a broken spar there. This one's got a couple of broken spars. So we'll not worry too much about that. I found one of those. So that's the oil drum load. Needs to go in an open truck. I'm sure we can find a spare open truck to drop that into. I did make some 3D printed variants of that. And I've got another truck with a load here. So this is quite a nice looking one. So there's a coal truck. I've got the insert in there, lovely and shiny. It's got a really deep sort of black in there, isn't it? But this wagon's in absolutely gorgeous condition if you look at it. So let's have a look at the bottom there, what we got. We've got R10, R13, made in England. I don't think this one's really seen a great deal of track time. So it'd be a bit of a shame to run that one, perhaps. So we've got a coal truck there, R13. Very yellow to it. It looks like it's been sellotaped shut on a number of occasions there, doesn't it? But, yeah, lovely. Lovely to find these things like this. So we'll just pop that one out of shot there. And we've got this wagon here. And I've got GW on the side, very imprecise printing. Let's see if we can hold that up to the camera a little bit. And again, it's got that type of chassis where it sort of captures the axle, closed axle boxes with the slightly earlier style of couplings there. Let's have a look on the base of that one. Triang in big letters there, made in England. So there's a little bit of maybe the metalwork's beginning to suffer a little there. Grey shiny roof. Looks like we're in acetate here. We've got lots of bending going on all over it. Again, those numbers are very, very imprecise. Perhaps a little bit of wear to one of those numbers on the very end there. Let's have a quick glance over the box here. So again, thick sellotape has picked up the dirt on the sides there. So you've got R11, a price scribbled in pen or pencil there. Closed goods van. Must have been quite exciting going picking these up from the toy shop. And again, a series of model numbers which could have been used within this box. Again, that's a Richmond box, Surrey, so slightly earlier. But let's pop that down. So these hopper wagons, the mystery of where the other two are, so that they will show up at some point. When they do show up, we'll get them on the railway. I sort of came across these ones as well. So I've got another 3 of them. So these are on Dave Angell's stall at the show. So possibly, you know, not quite the right box for them, but we've got the sticky label on the end. I think we had a look at that before. Let's pop that one down. There's another box there. I've got the price on the end. So can we just get this one out? See what condition this one is. It's fairly similar. So they do yellow. So I definitely got another 2 of these, and really is a mystery to me where they are currently. And there's probably a more familiar sort of style box that they would have been in, although this one's in the box the wrong way up. Let's have a look there, and we've got that same sticky sort of label there, and then we've got this canopy. So I did mention I'd got myself another canopy, and there is another one buried in a box somewhere, which we will come across at some point. So I think this is all sort of ready to go together. So we'll get that on the railway. It is missing one of the little tabs there, but that's not going to stop this working, because the way it plugs into here, I'm not going to do this on camera, it will support it without that little tab. It's a different story if you want to put these onto the station though. So and we'll have a look at one of the station buildings I've got in a moment, but because of the curvature in the station, I'm going to have trouble plugging the canopies in. So let's just have a swift look at those while we're here. So lovely advertising on the side, and we do have the box for this one. Let's have a look there. We've got R73 Island platform canopy set. So again, quite thick card this box is made out of. If you have a look at that, it's a very, very thick, very sturdy type of box. These buildings came from Dave Angell. He knew I'd put in the new platform there at the front, and I was looking for some red buildings, so I was quite pleased to get these. Let's have a look at the bottom here. So what we've got, Triang, and we've got R61, made in England. So you can see the underside of the moulding here. So that is a nice red chimney. It's not quite the same as the building, but maybe they were just moulded, you know, in the red plastic at the time. And maybe there's no way of telling whether this is the original one that came with the building when it left the factory. But yeah, that's going to look quite nice. An addition to have that on the railway. Let's just pop that to one side. We've got the box here for the signal box. So we've got lovely Triang Railways, great big sort of type on across the front of the box. And that's lovely. It's printed in red in the white panel there, isn't it? Signal box R61. So yeah, Rovex scale models limited. So we'll just pop that one to one side, and then we've got what do we call this one? Is this the Porter's Lodge? Porter's Room. I always call it Porter's Lodge for some reason. So we've got the box for that. These are quite, they feel quite heavy. They've got a heavy corrugated card on the inside. We'll just open that one up in a moment. Let's have a look at this. Keep my finger on there, because again, the chimneys are very loose. You can see the warpage, or warping, sorry. We'll try and use proper English perhaps. Again, we'll look over the bottom of it there. And we've got Triang R66. Let's get that in a bit closer to camera. Get the light to shine on it. It's quite a distortion in there. So these are never really going to sit flat, but that's not really the point, is it? A lovely bit of advertising on the end there. Let's have a look at what we've got on the other side there. It's reasonably intact. So they're going to look great on the front, on that front station we've put in. Let's pop that to one side. See if we can crack open this box and look at the thick corrugated cardboard that the items were packaged in. Look at that. It's gorgeous, isn't it? I know people don't like the boxes, but it really is all part of the thing in the end for me. Let's pop that to one side. So here we've got the ticket offices. Let's grab that, but this one's also suffered quite a bit. And you can see along this edge here, it's all wavy. The canopy looks to have been mended already, so I don't know, it looks to have got a break in it, and somebody's glued it in the past. So I don't think that's going to... We may be lucky. No, it's actually short. The building shrunk, if you look there. So what we're going to have to do is, I think, my plan is to 3D print some of these anyway, because these overhang the station too far, the platform, sorry, especially if you have the one on the back as well, so that they just collide with the trains. And also this one won't go in. The interior moulding, the grey work there, you can see in there, has dropped down and won't allow that to go in. So if I make a 3D printed one, I can put a nice big cutout in there, and we can get around that. We'll print slightly shorter canopies. Let me just grab this one. Let's reach over here and get this one. So this one's in grey, purely because I ran out of the yellow stuff to print it in. You can see I've bent that one to get that one in. It has shrunk. So I think we might just alter the model a little bit, and that one's sort of partially stuck in there. So I think we might just make a slight adjustment. We'll shrink the canopy. So see how we've got sort of narrower canopies there so they don't overhang the platform edges and collide with the locomotives as they pass through. So we've got the chimney there. What advertising? Do we have advertising on the ends of there? Let's have a look at that. So sorry, the video is sort of stretching out a bit. So it looks like somebody might have levered the top off this, doesn't it? It looks like somebody's tried to be inside it. So I can't work out why you'd want to try and get inside these, but it doesn't come away readily. I've got evening news, all the results. And we've got on the bottom there, we've got Triang R60, made in England. Again, you can see that warping in there. I wonder what they really did think in the factory, what the reaction was once they found that all these models were beginning to sort of shift and warp. I wonder how early it showed up. So they're lovely big printing. They would have looked terrific on the shelf at the toy shop behind the counter when all these things sort of stacked up. Sort of great items. And again, that's a Richmond box. Let's have a look. This one's got a lovely piece of corrugated card on the inside as well. Let's have a look at that. There we go. Absolutely terrific item. I have a couple of these already, and when I saw this lot, they were at the right price, so it seemed daft to walk away from them. This one seems to have a W.H. Smith's sticker on the box. Look, it's got what looks to be £1.85. I could be wrong, but yeah. Again, I'll put the dates in the bottom. These are just slightly on the edge of my collecting period. Excuses. But yeah, I think they're going to look good. In my mind's eye, when I saw these, I could picture a set of these running across the bottom of a page with a locomotive pulling it. I can't remember which catalogue it is or whether I'm just imagining it. When I got some time, I'll see if I can dig it out. But these are sort of definitely into the early 80s. We've got a sort of round section, silver seal wheels here, round axles there. They look to have barely run. That looks very, very bright in the back of the camera. I apologise if that is burning out. There does appear to be some type in there which is very, very difficult to read. So let's have a look there. We'll pop that down. But I've got seven of those in boxes in various different conditions. I think that's going to make quite a nice rake. And then finally, just got these three platform sections. So a couple of straight pieces, quite grubby. These things will sort of scrub up a little bit quite nicely. We're going to get some focus in here. Let's see. Give my finger as something for the camera to try and grab at. So there we've got Triang. We've got R63, made in England. I do apologise if that isn't grabbing the focus there. So we've got a pair of those. They're the slightly later ones. They've got that sort of bayonet, slight sort of fit on the end. These are terribly fragile. You've got to be very careful with these. They tend to snap if you're not careful. They are sort of made of very old plastic, and then we've got the platform ramp at the end. I think with a bit of a clean-up, that's going to be a bit smoother. It's just getting a little bit tighter there. It's got a lovely mechanical sound about it, but I don't think anything is colliding with the bodywork. Let's just run this one back into there. And we'll just switch the points over here. We'll close that one in. Ooh, I'm looking in the wrong place. So there we go. So while I was switching the camera around, I should have put this out of the way. Let's just put that out of the way. I did dig that out of that box of bits. So that's going to be, let's have a look over here. So let's pop that down there. So that's the same as the one on the front. Possibly not the right pair to go on here. I'm sure I can find some wheels without a problem. I have a strong feeling it should have Mark II couplings on it on there, but maybe not, and it doesn't really matter in the end if we've got Mark IIIs on there. It's all going to be good fun. And I think we forgot just to look at the number on this when I was waving this under the camera before. So we've got R65, we've got the those platform ramps. I think we've got one. Yeah, I've got one at the far end there. So I've got one there on that end of that platform. Right. So I think what we'll have a look at this Hagley Hall running just to finish off with. So if we just grab the points down here. So we want wrong one, that one. We want that one and that one. That's it. So ideally nothing else will run. So I'll just give this a little bit of power. So again, that will improve with a little bit of a clean. These are exactly as they came to me. So it's relatively smooth. I think one of those those rods look a little bit, they're taking a little bit of a bend on them. Again, this has got the grey drive gear on it, which makes it quite a controllable thing. But I think that's probably about it for this week. If you look back again next time, we'll see if we can have something else running. Perhaps we'll get those tank wagons up and running. You see, I've stood those buildings in. It's going to be a bit of time before I get around to making the 3D printed variants, the canopies to go on there. But I think that sort of livens up that station a bit. It's not the final fixture, but yeah, we'll try and get some of these things sort of put away so we've got a bit more space to play. But thanks again for looking in. Goodbye now.